you something? You know you got this real estate office and you've been running since like 1912? I said, yeah. She goes, do you have one of those systems where you check the tenants out and you run their credit and you do all that sort of stuff and you move them in and you give them the key and then you send me a cheque? She goes, yes. Not only do we do that all for you, Mr. Rotten, but not only will we pick up the 500, but we'll actually pay any outstanding bills and stuff and just send you the difference. I said, awesome. Because there's this guy I need you to send 452, just send me the 50. She goes, we can do that. By the way, do I have any property investors in this room that use real estate agents to rent your properties out? Anybody at all? Do you see all the tenants or they just do it all for you? Do it for you. Same thing. Guess what? They've all got a system for that. And they did. They put the people in. Sent me the cheque, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if I got 500 coming in and 450 a week going out, what's the difference? 50 bucks. I've got 50 bucks coming in. People come in on the super rent for 500. People going out for 450. And people being what they do. I've never actually seen one of these go for more than about 36 months. They go for about 3 months, 4 months, a year, 18 months, 2.5 years. But you see, what happens when people move in on the super rent, ladies and gentlemen? When people move in on the super rent, do you think it's an Australian thing that when people move in on the super rent, they're buying their house, they like to fix it up? What do you think? You bet. And people start fixing up stuff. Then they want to sell it, make a profit, or they refinance at the Westpac Bank and roll it over. And usually get a call from a lawyer who says, Mr. Otten, that super rent you got, we need those numbers of yours again. Yeah, I know, 4921648844. Please feel free to, that's my bank account number. I take donations. Because here's what happens. They go, Mr. Otten, you've done another one of these, and guess what? There's your first cheque. So in the month of August, the first cheque came in on the super rent, $51,043.75. Second cheque was $37,255. Third cheque for that month in August was $52,000. Ladies and gentlemen, super rents. I got $140,000 worth of cheques, and guess what that does? That lets me do this. Do you get it? Yeah. That was it. That's the magic. But let's break it down a little bit more. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the power. You see, guess what? The old system was you run around looking for a $5,000 bargain on a piece of property. Everybody works 9 till 5, 6 in the morning till midnight, looking for a $5,000 bargain on a piece of property. I say, bugger the bargain. Bugger it. Give that man everything he wants. Give those people everything they want. And just by giving everybody you want, I get to do that. Here's the thing. Let me ask you this. Let's talk about that people in the super rents. Do you want me to tell you the one we just talked about? Do you want me to tell you what that man looks like? Who owned that property? I never met him. Do you want me to tell you what the people look like who own the property today? I never met him. Do you want me to tell you what that property looked like? I never saw it. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want me to tell you what Sophie looks like? She's done 21. She has an accent. I think she's Asian, but I've never met her. See, here's the thing. I don't have to. I just have to apply to the system that other people can benefit from, and in return, I get looked after. You get it? It's just the change. It's the shifted change. And then people started doing this. Now look at this.
Hi, I'm Clara. It's my first deal. I put nothing in and got $45,000 out.
Same thing. So then I was up here. I'm staying at the Sofitel. I had a meeting. The guy, by the way, the agent calls me up. He goes, Mr. Wright, are you interested in buying a house? I said, it could be. Ladies and gentlemen, do you think I went to his office or he came to my coffee shop? He came to the coffee shop. There he is. Came to the coffee shop. He said, we've got this person. We can't sell the house. So let me ask you something. How much is the house worth? You might want to write this down, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm going to ask your opinion on whether you guys would buy it. I want you guys to tell me whether or not you'd buy this. Mr. Otten, it's worth $455. We can't sell it. So interesting. You can't sell it. How much debt's on it? I said, Mr. Otten, the debt on this house with the bank is $463. So here's my question, ladies and gentlemen. If the house is worth $455 and $463 and the debt's $463, would you buy it? But here's the question, before you answer this question. I said, sir, I'm going to buy this property. He said, Mr. Otten, why would you buy this property for $463 when it's only worth $455? So I'll tell you why, sir. I'm not interested in what it's worth today. I'm interested in what it's worth in 20 years when I retire. I said, Mr. Agent, do you think this house will go up in the next 20 years in value? What do you think he said? Well, you bet. And so when I pick this house up, all I'm going to do is transfer that loan across the table. You see, I can pay anybody's loan. All I do is I pick up that bank loan at $463 with one piece of paper. It's now mine. It cost me $1 to do that. I qualify for no forms, no documents, don't go to a bank. The closest I've been to a bank, ladies and gentlemen, is an ATM. Thank God they put them on the outside. One form, I said, sir, I picked up that puppy for one form, one thing, for $463, the loan debt, the loan's in place. It's not on my credit report. I've got that loan for another 23 years. That loan's mine. I pay no stamp duty. I'm excluded. I don't have to pay stamp duty on these. Also, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, when I picked that thing up for $1 and 2 pieces of paper and I did it in 24 hours, how much cash do you think I need to pay? Nothing. By the way, I said to the agent, can the seller who's been trying to sell this for a year, is he still happy to look after his commission? Seller has the listing. He said the seller's going to look after the commission. If you can just make this thing disappear for his loan debt, $463, you are saving this man's life on a house worth $455. Ladies and gentlemen, if I'm excluded from stamp duty and I'm spending no money, how relevant? Let me ask you something. I'll tell you a story, right? In 1984, I bought a house for $85,000. The house was worth $80,000. It was in a place called Newtown. Newtown. I don't know if you guys know Sydney, but I paid $85 for a place worth $80, and I had no money to buy it. And everybody said, you're mad. You've just paid $85,000 for a house worth $80. Ladies and gentlemen, I bought that place. No money. I just sold it for $917,000. Here's my point. How relevant was the $5,000? Did you get it? The only thing now is I wish my friends hadn't talked me out of buying the other 65 houses in Newtown because they said, that's so crazy to do, right? Here's the thing. This gentleman called me back. He said, Mr. Otten, we've spoken to the other agents in the office. We've just seen what you've done with that house. We need your help. He said, what? We have another 102 houses the same. We can't sell them. Ladies and gentlemen, that's on the Gold Coast. They want me to do another 102 houses, for which I'll use no bank loans, and I'll put $1 in. I'll pick up my property portfolio. Based on the fact that I can pick up my property portfolio that way, do you think that's a way that you guys would want to start considering picking up your property portfolio? Because that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's changing. The world has changed. All these forms are there. There's 8 different strategies now that you can be picking up houses. It has all changed. It is not what it was 1677. The reason you're here today, the reason they've asked me to come in, is to tell you what's happening today. The only thing is, it's happening today. You just weren't aware of it before today. I'm just making you aware of it. One of the things I'm going to share with you very quickly, some of you may have seen this. The days of using bank loans and putting down a lot of cash are gone. One of my students, I have a thing called anybody familiar with a BlackBerry phone? I have a BlackBerry. My BlackBerry goes off all day. Ladies would know this is 14th of February. Does anybody know what time of the year is? Valentine's Day. Hey Rick, I've just completed 2 deals this week, made $60,000 with less than 3 hours of my time. That's it. 60 grand, less than 3 hours, no bank loans, no cash, no nothing, 60 grand. It's just right there on the phone. Thanks, Rick. I'm in Melbourne. My shout, your next time, but today's Valentine's Day. I'm out with my wife. You guys might have seen this one.
See how these families plan to buy their first property with no cash.
To own your own home without any money.
Hot Property, next.
Imagine being able to buy a house without a deposit.
You do all the work, you renovate it.
Listen up, because we've got a brand new answer to an age-old problem.
And you get the opportunity to own your own home without any money. Does that make sense? Some of you may have seen this. I don't know if you saw it. There was a series they ran with me on the Hot Property Show. They said, Mr. Otten, you're changing things. You're buying houses. You're doing it different. Let's do this one. I picked this house up. The agent called me up, said they couldn't sell it. The seller needed out. I said, let me ask you, ma'am, how fast would you like this to be changed for you? She said, we've had this thing on the market for 5 months. Within 7 minutes, she was out of that house. I had the house. Ladies and gentlemen, how many bank loans do you think I got for the house? None. Didn't need to. All I needed to do was speak to the ANZ Bank, picked up what she had, ran with it. looked after it, babysit it. She goes, she couldn't do it. And I had so many people coming in the front door who wanted it from me that Channel 7 said, hey, you got so many people who want this house. Let's run it into a series. We're going to make it one episode. But guess what? We're going to call it Australian Idol for housing. And we had so many people who wanted the house. By the way, do you think there are any Australian families in this country that want to own a home but do not have a deposit? Do you think that's possible? And do you think I was the only guy in Sydney that had a house that people could buy without a deposit? How many people do you think wanted it? You bet. They all lined up down the street, and I had to work out with Channel 7 to disqualify people every week to get the lucky family that get the house that I paid $1 for. It's changing, ladies and gentlemen. Guess what? I didn't have to fix it. I didn't have to renovate it. Didn't have to do a thing. I wasn't even here. In actual fact, they had to get me to come back to the house because I wasn't there, so I could be there and congratulate the winners and go, couldn't love you. Great. Things are changing. The world's changing. I started teaching this thing all around the world. Look at this.
Hi, I'm Cherie from Melbourne. I did the boot camp about 15 months ago. I now do at least one deal a month and make about $45,000 profit from each transaction with no money invested.
So there goes. $45,000 a month, houses, nothing invested. The world has changed. Let me ask you something. If you guys could be that age doing 45 grand a house with nothing invested and knowing nothing about real estate, hands up if you want to know how to do that. That's where the world's going. Ladies, my forms, are they in the room? Where are they? Would you hand those out to these people while I just tell them a bit more about what's going on? Because you know what I like? I get excited. Everybody talks at 200 words a minute. When I rock and roll, I'm at 300, and I've been known to gust up to about 350. It's all changing. This country, like the other countries around the world, will never be the same. When the banks come back in 2 years' time and they say we're lending again, half the country will forget it. By the way, does anybody remember in 2006, we did our federal census report? Don't know if anybody remembers doing it. We did the federal census. Would anybody happen to remember what question 56 was? Would you like me to tell you? Question 56 said, in Australia, do you own your own home? Are you buying your home with a traditional mortgage, or are you buying your house with a new rent-to-own scheme? That is how much it is now changing in Australia. The world has just totally been changed, and it's not going back to the way it was. Well, my systems are designed that people just go from zero to building their property portfolio based on the fact that you don't need a bank loan, you just pick up whatever is there. And for people who've got negatively geared properties, a lot of people right now, they call me up and they go, Mr. Otten, I'm taking a bath on a whole bucket load of properties I make no money on. Can I turn that around? Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, because I'll get these questions, 20% of all the properties I get, I keep it buy and hold. They are long-term, high capital growth properties. The thing is, I don't need to get bank loans to do that. 80%, I just move them out to someone who wants it more than I do. I've just got a whole country, people who want them more than I do, and we can just move them through very quickly across the thing. My coffee shop's like this. So I'm in a coffee shop, everybody who doesn't want it sits down this side, and everybody who does want it sits down this side, and they get free coffee. So, let me tell you how my systems work. This is how it was. This is very interesting. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is what's fairly fascinating. The way we buy and sell houses came from the United Kingdom. When they came up with a process on how to buy and sell a house, that is what everybody was going to work on. Here's my question. Are people still going to work on that, or are people now going to work in that? Guess what? Maybe some of the old systems also need to change that were created back then.
Hisha Golby, from Queensland, Brisbane in fact. I was recently a lecturer at uni, and I've done an MBA. However, this course, this seminar today, or this weekend, makes the MBA redundant.
Hi, my name's Jeff Luby. I'm from Sydney. I live in Ramsgate Beach. I'm a business owner now, presently, before I came to see Rick Otten. To anyone out there, I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but I found when I came to see Rick Otten, he's just a genius. What a legend. The man's got information that I'd pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get.
Hi, my name's Richard. Just like to say that on this Rick Otten 3-day course, that just 1 hour of this program has been worth more than a $3,000 program I bought from somebody else.
I was a bit of a cynic when I came. I think that was the time span from first seeing Rick, booking it, and then waiting to actually attend. Little things like, not sure about the location of the RSL, to now, who gives a shit?
I laugh every time I see that. People, listen, people get, there's 3 ways you can change the way you model your property portfolio. And this works, there's 2 generations. We have the younger generation are moving through who've never learnt the older way. And they're actually picking up and building their property portfolio the newer ways. And that's exciting because as the younger kids do, have you ever seen how young kids don't talk on phones now? They'll have an entire conversation like that, right? In Texas. So it's a new generation. And so I have the home study course is the massive passive property pack, and you're going to find that there is the option 1. And this was written by default some years ago in Australia by my business partner, because people were saying to me, how are you buying these houses with no bank loans and how are you doing this? And we wrote the massive passive property pack, and what that is, it's virtually probably known across Australia as the reference library. A lot of lawyers contribute to that now for all the upgrades to it, and they're a little bit, each has a slightly different version for each state because things are different. So you have the Queensland one, and in this thing, it's virtually the home do-it-yourself home study course, and I designed it very much like Alan did with the body language books, whereas as you read a page and then you do that, read the page and do that, read the page and do that, so that people could just sort of follow it along. As a home study course, there's 2 ways people learn: is in a classroom type environment, or you lock yourself away and say, I'm just going to follow it and do what it says. When I wrote the massive passive with my partner, we designed it based on the fact that I hate reading, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't like to read stuff. I just don't like to read stuff, but I recognise some people do. So I made it what I call readable, or just laid it out in such a way that it was an easy read. Just do that, there are the steps, follow that. What I also did was, I understood the processes that you're going to walk through. So what I did was, I made every form you're going to use as a template form. As a template form, all we have to do is put in your name and put in the address of the property. Does that make sense? All the rest, it's all been done. We templatised all the forms, and I'll put those in there. And in fact, on the back of here, because I do these occasionally with Jamie, and I haven't done one for a while with Jamie, and we've done on the back there. You're going to see on option 1, which is my home study course. My home study course, and people like it because this is the product that they use. And the forms are in there so that when you guys buy your property portfolio this way, you don't have to pay your stamp duty. And the forms for doing that are part of the program. And a lot of people see that the value is in that, simply that the program's at $34.97, and they usually end up paying a lot more stamp duty than that. Of course, there's 6 instalments there of $641 there on the option A. But on the other side, if you look at there, you get the massive passive pack, and there was something else I've done. I sat with a couple of guys from the Gold Coast yesterday. I always catch up with my students around the country. And what I got the guys to do was sit down and create for you guys a series of 12 audios. And they're using the Gold Coast and areas of southeast Queensland and giving streets and suburbs and Paradise Point and Sovereign Island and Labrador and all these places you guys know as where they're doing these transactions, so that you guys can actually see the houses that these guys are buying for $1, $2, $3, but they're like $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 homes, and just how they're doing it, walking through the forms. By the way, if you guys had the series of audios you could listen to step by step of where these guys are buying the houses, do you guys find that would be quite pretty interesting to listen to, and which agents they're using and where they're going? So we've put that in there for you as a free bonus, and a couple of things in there, real quickly, some extra bonuses in there, is some audios. We put in another course in there, 7 strategies that I was asked to do for kids who have less than $10,000, want to buy their first house. But the thing is, number 10, my support, I like to say that my support's probably one of the best. I always feel that if you guys are investing in me, I'm coming along for the party. So for the first 12 months, when you guys are using my programs and starting to pick up your houses this way, we're going to come along and support that, and you just speak to our office, and my guys will just make sure we tick boxes on your forms so that you guys are spending no money and just doing them real quick. Does that make sense? And we'll just go through, make sure your forms are right for you. So we've got 12-month coaching goes with that program. Now, what the lady was talking to here, oh, by the way, this is just for the one strategy when I buy them at the real estate agent. The one I walked you through tonight. There's a number of different strategies on buying a house with no money. And when I say no money, I don't use equity out of a house. You'll never see me borrow equity or cash bits out of houses. I just do it a whole different way. So, this particular home study course is one strategy, ladies, and just one way of doing it. There's actually 8. There is 5 strategies that I have on how you guys can build your property portfolio using no bank loans and no cash. Just different processes of doing it. There's also another 3 I've thrown in there that when I move houses, I've got to move them really, really fast. I never discount a house. I never knew what the word discount was until someone told me, I had to look it up. So I never discount a house when I sell it, but I also get rid of them in 2 or 3 days. They never stay with me more than 2 or 3 days. As a result of this, when I do my 3-day event, a lot of real estate agents come to my events now because they've realised they need an edge. Especially when you've got a suburb, we've got 6 or 7 real estate agents. A lot of real estate agents come to my programs to get the edge on their competition, to learn the systems and processes we put in to move property so incredibly quickly, so they can enhance that. My strategy for 3-day, the way my 3-day event works, my next 3-day event that's available isn't till first quarter of next year. So you're going to have to write there that the next 3-day event that I'm going to have is the end of first quarter of 2010. It's not on your sheet. There is nothing available. They've told me when I walked in here today, anything we had has gone 3 months in advance. I am the only person who does this. So the only thing I've got is the end of first quarter for the next 3-day. On the next 3-day, the way I put my 3 days together is I don't have employees, but I do need people to help me train people. What I do is this does not work. This is not. I can't talk at you for 3 days like this. In order for you to enhance my tools and to use them in the marketplace, we restructure things differently. I put everybody on round tables. I create 8 people on a round table. I fly in students from the Gold Coast. I fly in students from Perth, I fly in people from New Zealand, and I fly in people from London. They come in from all parts of the world, and their job is to sit with you guys. And when I walk you through the transactions, and I do live ones, I do real transactions, they're ones that the people are doing in the room. I invite people to come to my 3-day that bring me their property portfolio. My job in 3 days is to turn it around. If you allow me to, I'll workshop your entire portfolio with the class right there and there. People always come to me and they say, I've got 7 negatively geared properties.